One.
Hello, welcome to the first episode of the Glee of Human Physiology. Today, I'm going to be painting the fundamental component of the nervous system, the neuron. Now, before I do that, I'm going to paint him a nice background. I already applied some liquid white to the canvas, and I'm going to use some light pink here to start us off. Now, we're just going to take our paint, we're just going to do some nice little crisscross brushes, get it even out there, smooth, light color. And then we're going to be taking some ocean blue afterwards, and we're going to be mixing those together, create a nice, colorful background for our neuron to live in. Now we're going to be adding our ocean breeze blue color on this right side here, and once again we're just going to be using that crisscross brush stroke pattern just to get it nice and even out along the canvas. And the reason why we add white in the beginning is to help blend these colors out, make them a bit softer so there's not such a strong contrast between the two. Now that we have our background done, and before we start on the neuron, we gotta clean our brush, so go ahead, dip it in some water, dry it off a little, and go ahead, just beat the devil out of the rest of it. Now, for the neuron body, I'm gonna go ahead, take a bit of a smaller brush, and we'll be using an orange, and we're just gonna go ahead, get that nice done up, and just right along here we'll do a nice oval shape. Look at that. And we'll go ahead and build off from there once we get him all filled up. Go. Clean this brush off, and we'll get the nucleus of this friend done real quick. Take some navy blue, just in a little circular fashion. There we go. Can't forget the nucleus. That's where all the information is stored. Now that we've finished the soma of the neuron, we can move on to the dendrites. Now these little guys are these thin little processes that stick out of the cell body. And their main goal is to just absorb all the stimuli they can. Any signals, anything that changes. So we're going to take some more orange, and we're just going to do some nice smooth strokes from the cell body. What's fun about these guys, we can just go as wild as we want. Did you know that the average octopus brain has 300 million neurons compared to the average human brain, which has 100 billion neurons? It's quite the number. Now that we have our dendrites done, we can begin painting the axon. But before we do that, we have to paint this little kind of conal area right before that connects the axon to the cell body. It's called the axon hillock, or the trigger zone, because it helps send the signals out. There we go. Now that we got that done, we can do our axon, and we can kind of give this guy a nice, smooth little winding stroke. Now, any signal that comes in or out of this cell, or the neuron itself, goes along this path. So we want to give them a nice little ride, especially since they can travel up to 250 miles an hour. guy's gonna go ahead and just right there, and he's gonna branch out into our next part we'll paint. But we'll get that all prepped up, and you know what? Maybe he'll have a little collateral that comes out this way that lets him talk to more than just one other cell. So he's got more than just one friend. Gonna branch these guys out. Alright. So now we're going to move on to painting some synaptic end bulbs. Now, these guys are located right at the end of these axon terminals, at the end of the axon itself. Now, their name's pretty self-explanatory, so we're going to go ahead and try and do some bulb-like shapes. And they get the synaptic part from synapse, which is a site of communication. So, a lot of talking goes on down here. And you might be wondering, what's in the bulb? That's a good question. These guys hold neurotransmitters in them, inside little vesicles. They have vesicles inside themselves that hold neurotransmitters that, when they receive a signal, will do as they're told, go where they're needed. Just go ahead, blend these, make these guys seem a little more standoutish. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank you for joining me, and if you painted alongside me, I want to congratulate you on a job well done. I want to wish you a happy day, and I'll see you next time.